Hello, everybody, and welcome to the third installment of How to Get Shot and Love It. My name is Stephanie Richardson, and yeah, welcome. Okay, so one of the things, what am I doing? One of the funny things about whenever we get in front of the camera, oh, just so you know, there are two other Google Hangouts on this topic. So in my mind, we're sort of continuing on. These are pretty short Google Hangouts, so I just want to make sure to hop right into the information. But what we're looking at is how to be in front of the camera, both the still camera and in front of the video camera, and be you, show up, have a good time, and have ease, and also create dynamic content if you're doing videos, and create engaging photographs if we're talking about being photographed, right? So if you'll look across the three Google Hangouts, the first thing I want to talk about is there are different kinds of lighting in each one of them. That is not by accident. So the first one was actually lit with a piece of equipment that I have that's part of my strobe kit. It's one of just the modeling lights on my photographic equipment. So most people won't have access to that. However, you know, it's a beauty dish with a little hot light inside of it. So anyway, so that was the first Google Hangout. The second Google Hangout, I actually used one of these guys. It's a Chinese lantern. I was a lot less pleased with those results, so I ended up editing the video in YouTube. Just because I wanted to do something that everybody would have access to. So they use Chinese lanterns a lot or things that look like Chinese lanterns a lot in film. However, with the computer camera, you may or may not like the results, but that is how I got the lighting for the last video. And then the lighting in this video is actually a mix of two things. One, window light. And here it is early evening, so we've got a bunch of diffused lighting. There's no direct lighting coming in through the windows. And I am also, I also have a setting on the Google Hangout that's actually a setting called Brighten, I believe. Ah, yes, there's a little magic button called Brighten. And so that takes what would be a dark shot and brightens it up. It also appears to make really pretty, like, blurry skin tones. Depends on if that's what you're looking for or not. It's not that natural looking. I just wanted you guys to have a couple of different options using your computer and your just your computer and whatever resources on hand. What I would say is that your iPhone, if you have an iPhone, will get you better results even than your computer, but the computer is easy. So feel free to play around with that. Somebody had asked what's the best, to do natural lighting, to do artificial lighting, to go indoors, to go outdoors. It is far easier to get good light if you don't know what you're looking for when you go outside and find what they call open shade. And you don't want dappled light. So if you look on the ground and there's sunshine shining down and it's shining through trees and you can see tree leaves on the ground, you will also be able to see tree leaves dappled all over your face. That's kind of hard to deal with, especially if it's really stark light. So then it'll be like black on your face and white on your face, and it's really hard for the camera to balance those drastic lights, balance them out in any way that actually is flattering. So you want to find sort of an evenly shaded area. If you can't find an evenly shaded area, you can sometimes, depending on where the sun is, use yourself as shade. Tricky, tricky. What do I mean by use yourself as shade? If you stand with your back to the light it can create the shade on your face. Now the thing is that's easy to do with normal cameras. You're going to have to trick your iPhone if you're using an iPhone. Your computer probably can't handle that, but you'll have to trick your iPhone into not making you a black silhouette. Which brings me to another thing. So here's the deal. When you're taking pictures, so this is for people who are looking to create photographs for themselves or get their friends to photograph them. I have looked over a lot of facilitator profiles and different pictures online of different people who are offering coaching services, etc. And there are a few things that I want you to keep in mind when you are posting a picture of you somewhere, anywhere on social media, whether it's LinkedIn or Facebook or whether it's your professional website. First of all, please be in your picture. I probably should have started with this on Hangout 1, but I didn't want to bore you all to death. So you should be in your picture. I know that it's fabulous to have rainbows or horses or any sort of other things. It's nice. But as your main profile picture, if you would like for people to find you and actually like connect and engage with you from the very get-go, it's really helpful to have a picture of you. The other thing is you probably should be the brightest thing in the picture. And what I mean by that is right now, if you saw a bright background and you saw a dark silhouette of a face and a body, that's a no-no. So you want to be the brightest thing in the picture. Now I get that some skin tones, that's actually kind of a challenging thing to do, but in that case, what I want you to do is just make sure that you can actually see you, that you are the focus of the picture. So in that case, like if you've got a really beautiful dark skin tone, I don't mean that you need to make yourself brighter than the wall or have like, you know, a black backdrop or anything like that. That's not what I mean at all. I just mean that you want to be the focus of the picture, and generally you want to make sure that you're well lit, especially in comparison with the rest of your surroundings. So it's okay if something goes into shadow in the back, but you really want to be clearly visible in your pictures. The other thing is, please don't be afraid to smile. I totally get not smiling in pictures. I spent years not smiling in pictures. And there's a couple of really interesting things. If you're not a smiley person, I totally get it. You can sort of turn the corners of your mouth up to some degree. Unless you're a boxer, unless you are an MMA fighter, is that MMA, like the mixed martial arts? Unless you're an MMA fighter, unless you are a, you know, special ops dude or something, like, unless you're doing something like that, or you want to be like really serious in the law profession or something like that, just ask yourself, like, do I want to come across, like, anyway, just how do I want to show up? And would you be willing to try out a couple of different things? So try out and see what happens if you change your profile picture and actually smile in it. And try one where you look like you're about to kill everybody. That's fine. You can try them and just see what happens. And really get the energy. If I use this picture as my profile picture, what will it create? So maybe actually you looking like you're ready to dominate the world, that might work sometimes. Would you be willing to be in question? And I guess the thing I'm looking at is how many times we don't even think about it. We just go to our go-to picture face. If you have ever tried online dating, have you seen all the profiles where people are like, or, right? I read this book one time and it was talking about how people hire us. And they're like, as much as we don't want this to be true, as much as we want people to hire us based on our resume or hire us based on some other factor, part of what they're looking at is, do I want to hang out with this person? And it's like, I'm going to spend a good portion of my life with this person, and I'm entrusting them with the thing I hold most dear, you know, right? Like my business or my career or my life or my family or, you know, my body. And so like, what's going to create? So just ask that question, like, okay, cool. Put 3 of them out in front of you. One of them where you have your normal picture face, one of them where you're trying on a smile, one of them where you're looking like a badass, one of them where you're laughing, and go, hey, cool. So if I use this one, what will it create in my business? And then just get the energy of it. And then, oh, if I use this one in my business, what would it create? If I use this as my profile on LinkedIn, what would it create? If I use this one as my profile on LinkedIn, what would it create? If I use this one, what would it create? And you're just going to kind of get the sense of the energy of it. And then, you know, use whichever one matches the energy that you'd like to have more of. You know, for me, I look for expansive. There's this like feeling of, oh, yes. And that's one of the energies that I like whenever I'm choosing things, because I would like more of that in my life, that feeling of being able to breathe, that feeling of expansion, that feeling of space and room to grow. I like that for me. So that's one of the things I'd like to have more of. So when that shows up, when I'm asking those questions, I'm like, okay, cool, I'm going in that direction, thanks. You can also try other stuff and see how it works, right? Okay, so make sure you're in your picture. You want to generally be the brightest thing, or at least be well lit. And yeah, and see and try out different faces. See if smiling could actually work for you. If you don't like your teeth, then it can be a modified smile. And so I was photographing, I was doing a photo session this morning, and this will come back around, I promise. So I was doing a photo session this morning, and the person that I was working with was, you know, she kept just saying, she was like, you know what, I'm going to be here as if I don't hate this. And it struck me how beautiful that was, that she was willing to put aside everything, all her considerations about what it meant to be in front of the camera. To just put them aside. Be like, you know what, I normally would just totally dislike this, and I'm gonna put that aside and see what happens if I just show up and let that go. Even just for right now. I can hate it later. And that, would you be willing to put aside all your preconceived notions of what a photo shoot is? So many times in our life we have these different, they are preconceived notions. We've got these ideas that they either come from our own experience, they come from other people's experiences, we've picked them up from someone else, we've tried them on and we forgot to take them off. There's a whole bunch of different ways that we come to these points of view and these ideas that we have. And sometimes all that's required in the moment is just to ask, would I be willing to have a different reality just for right now? So if it's, you know, whether it's the way you would normally think about your body, like whether it's being self-conscious about the way you smile, or being self-conscious about your nose, or being self-conscious about your eyes. Like those things, would you be willing to put that judgment aside for a moment? And you can always have them back, but would you be willing to put them aside for the moment? So that every time it comes up where you're just like, oh, but I don't like my smile. Okay, would I be willing to put that aside for right now? Is having that judgment about me actually creating more? Is having that judgment of me in this moment, is that actually creating the pictures that I'm going to love? Or have I already decided that that's not a possibility? Everywhere I've already decided that it's totally not a possibility for me to actually enjoy pictures of me because it just seems impossible. Okay, I'm going to take that idea that it's impossible, and I'm actually going to even put that over here just for right now. I can have it back at the end of the photo shoot. I can have it back at the end of this 10 seconds. Okay, so when I put that aside, okay, so what if it actually was possible that I enjoyed this and I enjoyed what I look like? Even if it seems far-fetched, I'm just going to try that point of view on. Like, what if you could just, if it was just choice? So then you're like, okay, cool, I'm gonna try it on. Like, what if I was a person who loved having my picture taken? What if I was a person who loved my smile? What if I was a person who thought my nose was just awesome? What if I was a person who really appreciated my eyes and my eyebrows and my hair, like whatever that is, however it's showing up? What if, just for this moment, I was the person who enjoyed this? And I can have all my judgment back whenever I want it back. But for right now, for right this moment, I'm willing to try something different. Just try it. And then in Access Consciousness, we've got a clearing statement: good, bad, right, wrong, pop, pop, all nine, boy shorts, and beyonds. I originally was going to make this just for facilitators, and so I was going to go a little bit deeper into the clearings and stuff. But really, choice is such a big part of this that I want to really stress the choice aspect of it. And then when you get to those places where you feel like you can't choose beyond something, you can use things like the clearing statement, getting your bars run. Although in the middle of a photo session, like it's hard to get your bars run in the middle of a photo session. It really is. So, but what you can do is that good, bad, right, wrong, pod, poc, all nine, boys, shorts, and beyonds. You can use that to clear all the energies that create that feeling of impossibility, or that thought of impossibility, or that feeling in your body of the impossibility. That there is no way I am ever going to enjoy me in front of the camera or enjoy my body and the way it looks. All I can think about is judgment whenever I see someone looking at me. Well, that's one point of view. I've had that point of view for a really long time. What if I take that point of view and I put it aside and was willing to have something different show up? Just for 10 seconds. 10 seconds. Would for 10 seconds I be willing to feel different about myself? Anything that doesn't allow for that, good, bad, right, wrong, pop, pop, all nine, boy shorts, and beyonds. Cool. So many times it's like, have you ever seen somebody, if you're a person who doesn't like dancing, this won't help any. But if you enjoy dancing, or if you're okay dancing on the dance floor, right? And you see those people that it looks like they want to dance. But when you ask, when you say, hey, you want to come out and play? Like, come over and dance. They're like, no, I don't. But what you see is there's part of them that does, and then there's this other part where they've already decided either they can't, or they look terrible, or somebody made fun of them once, or all of those kinds of things. In those moments, when you see someone else that you really care about, when you see them doing that with themselves, that I would love to have fun, but I would rather not have all the fun I can have than look silly, or than be judged, or than risk dancing, or risk dancing silly, or risk showing up, or risk not being liked. When you see that in somebody else, is it a lot easier to just go, you know what, God, I love you no matter what. Like, I don't care if you look stupid. Would you be willing to have fun with me? Would you be willing to be that person with yourself? That when you see you judge you, when you see you be more worried about what other people think than actually having the fun of your life, would you be willing to be the person for you that looks at you and says, you know what, I love you no matter what, and I would rather see you enjoy the life that you have than be a slave to your judgment or a slave to anybody else's ridiculous points of view. And anywhere that you can't be that for yourself or can't have that for yourself, first of all, will you destroy and uncreate everything that's holding any and all of that in place? Times of Godzillion, good, bad, right, wrong, pop, pop, all nine, boy shorts, and beyonds. And if you still are just like, you know what, I can't find it in me to be that person for me at the moment, but I can find it in me to have a friend who sees me with no judgment. Would you be willing to allow them to love you, right? Would you be willing to allow them to care for you in a way that expands your life and living? Now, what does that have to do with a photo shoot? For goodness sakes, One of the biggest things that gets in the way of amazing photos or you being amazing in videos is really just judgment of you, fear of judgment from other people. You know, the images and the ideas from when you were a kid or stories that you heard about the horror stories, the atrocities, and the failure that you have already decided that you are incapable of avoiding. So everything that is times a godzillion will you destroy and ungrade it all. Good, bad, right, wrong, pop, pop, all nine, boy shorts, and beyonds. Now here's the weird thing. I've seen, I may have already said this in one of the other videos, but one of the things that I've seen is that the people who show up and are such a huge invitation oftentimes are not the people who have the most perfect lighting or the people who have the most perfect script or the people who have the most perfect anything. As a matter of fact, it tends to be the people who show up as themselves. One of my friends had a video up. I'm pretty sure I did tell this story, but I'm going to tell it again. So one of my friends had this video up, and I know I told you. And the lighting was terrible, and the sound was bad, and she had no makeup on, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. All things that people wait to create until they have it right, or until they've judged that they can get it right, or until. And here it is. This video captivated people. They were totally intrigued by this video and were like, oh my gosh, if this woman can show up on camera like that, then I can show up. She was being an inspiration by showing up as her and not waiting until she had everything perfect in order to show up. Would you be willing to show up before you're ready, right? Before you have all the pieces in place, before you've lost that 10 pounds, before you've, you know, gotten the perfect makeup, before you have the perfect haircut, before you have clothes that you think will work. Today you may have noticed it's casual day, right? I didn't really do my hair. I put on a little bit of eyeliner just for you, but I mean, this really is, this is how I walk through the day today. I'm preparing for a class, and so I was shopping, and I was on the phone a lot, and I was like all these things. I was running errands and preparing, right, and working and having meetings, and right, and if we wait to create until we have all the pieces and the professional photo crew and the professional film crew and the professional lighting and the professional audio and the perfect thing to say, like, what does that do to what we're able to create in the world? Does it expand what we're able to create in the world, or does it diminish what we're able to create in the world in totality? And is that thing that we've already determined and decided is perfect, is that actually the thing that's an invitation to others? Or is something else available to you? Is something else possible? Would you be willing to choose to create as you? Would you be willing to create with you? Would you be willing to have fun with it? And then if you need those perfect things, would you be willing to then pay people? And if money is an issue, would you be willing to create the money in order to, you know, to have the professional film crew? If that's what you've determined and decided is what's required for you to be successful, first of all, will you destroy and upgrade all that? Times a godzillion, good, bad, right, wrong, pop, pop, all nine, boy shorts, and beyonds. But if you've already decided that that's what's required for you to be successful, do you realize that every time that you don't choose it, then you are actively choosing to not be successful? Does that make sense? Like, whatever you've decided and determined is absolutely required for you to be successful, well then, what would it take for you to create towards those things? There's an easier way. You can actually destroy and uncreate everything that you've decided, determined, judged, concluded, and computed that would create success for you, and like free yourself from the limitation of what you think is required. You can do that. Good, bad, right, wrong, pop, pop, all nine, boy shorts, and beyonds. And if you've already decided that something is required, would you be willing to create it no matter what? Would you be willing to begin taking the steps toward it today, no matter what? If you think it's required for you to have a professional filmmaker Would you be willing to begin putting the money aside every time money comes in for you? Would you be willing to put the money aside to create it? Does that make sense? If you've already decided that's what's required for your success, would you be willing to contribute to that today? In whatever tiny way. I don't care if it's a change jar. And every time you have change, you begin putting change aside so that you no longer have to put change aside. There's a little play on words. Okay, so anyway, that's the thing I see happen most is people put other things in front of the choices that they actually have available. They make, their physical appearance more valuable than showing up. Like make, that extra 10 pounds that they've judged as wrong. They make that more valuable than having a good time. Because what's our other choice? Like, we can either make that 10 pounds that we've determined is bad, we can either make that the valuable product in our life, or we can go, you know what? I get that I would prefer not to have those extra 10 pounds, but what kind of life would I like to have? And can I begin to create that right away, no matter what? And the cool thing about a photo shoot, the cool thing about a video, I know they go out in the world and they're like, I guess, forever on Google. But would you be willing to just change it? Like, have your picture taken and then have your picture taken again, and then have your picture taken again, and then have your picture taken again, and do a new video, and do a new video, and do a new video, and do a new video. So that there's so much content out there that it's like, cool, yeah, there were those like 3 videos that were really regrettable. But I've created so much content since then, who cares? Do you see like the different possibilities that are available? You can either make it so that that one thing has to be absolutely right, which that puts a lot of pressure on you in the moment to like look like a goddess or a god, right? Or you can just be like, you know what, I'm gonna create so many of these that what if I just had fun with this one? What if I just had so much fun that it was sort of irrelevant what came out of it, because that's the kind of life I'd like to have. I would like to have a life that is so much fun that I forget to care what the outcome or the result is. And do you think that that would create a different kind of life for you? Do you think that would create, and if that's too much, then do you think that would create a different kind of photo shoot where you're like, you know what, I'm willing to just have so much fun in this that the outcome is sort of secondary than the actual creation of it. I'm just going to have so much fun being present, and that if I left today and all I got to do was have fun and create, it was worth it. If I get pictures out of it too, bonus, right? Like, what if we lived our life from that point of view? Oh man, I'm going to live right now to such a degree with such presence and joy, and like really infusing it with everything I am, that if all I get out of it is exactly this, then I'm super glad to be here, and I'm super glad to have chosen this. Cool. All right, so I'm going to run through some other tips that'll just give you some really hands-on stuff. Sort of like the, hey guys, please be in your pictures. Be willing to try different faces that you may never have tried before. Put your judgments aside, and if you can't put them aside, use the clearing statement with them and everything holding them in place, good, bad, right, wrong, pop, all nine, boys, shorts, and beyonds. And be the focus of the picture. Have you be the center, either the brightest thing in the picture, or just make sure that you're well lit. Okay, so here's some other tools. Someone asked, is the best thing to shoot up or the best thing to shoot down? I personally at this point have my own points of view about it. So I a lot of times shoot straight on, but I've seen a lot of other amazing pictures. Let's just do a little experiment. So right now I'm pretty much shooting mostly straight on. I'm shooting a little bit up actually. So when I'm using a computer and doing a Google Hangout or something like that, I generally have a pile of books or a piece of furniture that is high enough that I am neither looking down at the computer or the computer is not looking down on me. Okay, that's my personal preference, but let's play with it. All right, so if you are looking down on me, here's what you get. People usually use looking down because it gives you an excuse to actually stick your chin out, and so you don't have double chins. It accentuates the size of the eyes. It's generally your general selfie shot, right? The weird thing about it is, I don't know, people these days do tend to think of it as being sort of the selfie thing, and if it's too much up, it's sort of diminutive, meaning like it's like you're looking down on that person. It's up to you. It does feel a little bit more like hi than being an authority in the world, and that's just a choice too. I mean, it could be really fun. I happen to look like a lot like an anime doll whenever I do it, so I don't know, maybe I should shoot this way more often. Okay, now here's how you may see a lot of people doing Google Hangouts. It's the up the nose shot. So this is generally pretty unflattering for most people. It's really easy to get a double chin if you actually try and like look straight at the computer, even for people who have no extra weight. And if you're just sitting normal, then you're looking down on everybody. It's sort of a strange point of view to have, especially for videos. For pictures, you can play with it. If you've seen a lot of shots, if you're very tall and skinny and you want to have really long legs in your shot, you can always have the camera shooting lower than you. But even then, they're not actually pointed up. In that case, it's more like the computer, or not the computer, but here. So instead of shooting up, it would just be shooting lower, okay? Which is different than what I was showing you earlier, which is shooting up on, right? Which is the up the nose thing. So it is lower, and when I back up, it's not nearly as much up the nose. So it does give a different kind of feeling. So you can always look and go, okay, well, when I do this, what do I get? Like, what does this look like? What is the feeling that this gives? I happen to really like seeing my couch in here. It's really pretty, especially with the artwork in the pit. Okay, and then there's this, right, which is more, hi, I'm just sitting here with you face to face talking. We could be having a cup of coffee. So my target with you is really to have more of that feeling of, hey, I'm here with you. Is there anything that you'd like to know? Is there anything that you'd like to ask? Is there anything that, right? So that's my target with you. If I wanted a different, I think we're lopsided. That's really funny. If I wanted it to have a different kind of feeling, then I would just look, okay, well, is this creating that, right? If I right now was trying to create myself as being separate from you and a little bit aloof and, someone that is the rich, daunting professional who knows everything, I might not want to, I might want it to be different, right? I might not want to be here with you this close and really having that feeling of like, oh, would you like to share a cup of tea with me? I personally kind of like that though, right? Does that make sense? So you can explore. You can also, if you don't get the feeling for it just by looking at it, or if you're too close to the material because it's you in the shot, you can also look at different interview styles or different coaches and stuff. Are they close to the camera? Are they far away from the camera? How are they lit? Is it really dramatic? Do you want really dramatic lighting? Do you want really airy, breezy lighting? These are things that you can kind of find just by looking through magazines, watching interviewers, watching other YouTube videos, and really get the pieces of it that you like for you, and then use those for you. Because there is no one answer. There is no one right thing to do or not do. It all is subjective. And at the same time, like certain things do call up certain kinds of feelings in other people, right? If you have Imagine right now that all the lights went dark and all you had was a little streak of light across my eyes. Like, what would you expect to happen next, right? Would you expect me to be laughing and silly and light? Or would you expect maybe sort of me to be sultry and sexy and challenging? Or would you expect maybe for me to be being interrogated by the CIA, right? Like, there are different things that you expect when you see those visual cues. Just like there are certain things that you expect if you get certain visual cues. See? Right? Like, that's kind of a different feeling than, right? Different, right? It's got to end different from this. So all those things, what would you like to create? And play with it. Again, so we are at the 30-minute mark again. If you would like to, I'm giving you some homework, and that is take out your, if you don't have any other way of making videos or pictures, but you have an iPhone, I know a lot of people do, some people don't, I'm so sorry, you can do it with your Android phone. I'm sure there are a lot of them that actually may even have camera capabilities that may or may not rival Apple, maybe not. But if you'll take your phone or whatever video taping or photography taking animal, beast, mechanical instrument that you have, would you be willing to take that this week and play with it? Take pictures of yourself. Oh, I was going to give you a couple of tips. Okay, so one of them is if you find yourself pulling your neck back, cut it out. Don't pull your head back. Nobody looks good that way. So one of the quick things that you can do is, I saw this professional photographer who did this thing where it's like, just stick your head out a little bit. Now, if you begin to see straining, you have gone too far. You will see that in your pictures. Go to the point where you're like, yep, that feels ridiculous, and pull it back until all of a sudden it's comfy. And then if you're shooting from the side, you can also do the you can cock your head a little bit to whatever that side is. And the reason you do that is one way, it's kind of hard to see with this lighting, but one way you have no jawline. The other way, you have a jawline, right? So, and this is bad because it's also shooting up, but so it makes that more difficult. Play with the lighting so you can have the sunshine shining directly on your face. Take a picture, see what that does. Flip around the other way. Let your body create a shadow for your face and see what happens that way. Stand so that the light kind of like cascades down your face. Take a picture, see what happens that way. Begin to explore all of those different aspects. Smile in a way that you've never smiled before for the camera while being just present and having a good time, right? You're not trying to be anything that you're not. I'm not asking you to like pretend to be, something. I'm asking you to sort of explore what range of emotion do you have available on your face? What range of movement do you have? What range of, I don't know, like kind of how you show up? Like what are all the ways that you can show up? Would it be fun? You may, if you are a facilitator, like you may facilitate some things that are kind of like funny or wacky or like all about somebody's angst. You could play around with being your angsty face, right? That could work for some marketing, right? Like, right? Like, feel free to play with those things too. And the reason I'm saying to play with those things is the more you play with yourself, the more you'll actually become familiar with what it is that your body is capable of, what it can do, how it looks in different scenarios or situations, or what faces are fun for you, or how showing up the range that you have. The more you have, like have explored more of that range, does it free you up to be anything and everything that you actually are? To use whatever energies, to use whatever faces, to use whatever you have in any one moment to actually create what you'd like to create, so that you no longer are keeping yourself in these tiny, tiny boxes, these tiny, like, I always have to smile in this one way. If you've seen Paris Hilton, she only has one face and she only has one body move for any picture that she's ever in. If you'd like to do that, you can. So explore that and create your one way, and then do it every single time, and never let anybody catch you any other way besides that one way that you pose. You are more than welcome to do that. And people tend to think, they're like, oh yeah, and she looks great every time. Is that a box that you want to stay in, or do you want to have awareness of your body? Do you want to have awareness of your body in space? And would you like to be able to play with it? Like dancers and models have a different kind of proprioception, which like a different kind of physical awareness, where their body is in space, and can use that and be aware of what's happening in front of the camera. What if you too could develop that to whatever degree that you'd like to develop that to, where you actually have awareness of where you are, where your body is at any moment, and be able to use that and have fun with it. And so that's what I'm asking you to do, just by playing with what faces can I make. If you see little kids taking selfies, they take a million selfies in a million different ways, making a bunch of different funny faces. Would that allow you to would that free you up any to have a little bit more fun the next time that you're on camera? So play with that, play with the lighting, and also begin looking at what other people are creating, not necessarily the other people that are in your field, but look at movies, look at TV interviews, look at different things and go, okay, well, what's actually going on here? Are they shooting up? Are they shooting down? Are they, are they lit? Are they backlit? Are they in the shot? Like just those different kinds of things, and begin to pick out like, oh, you know what? That thing, that really actually works for me. I'd like to have more of that the next time I shoot, or even body positions, or, faces, or any of that kind of stuff that you can play with. So play around with that kind of stuff. Let me know how it goes for you. And this is the last of our 3 Google Hangouts on how to get shot and love it for facilitators, speakers, and coaches. And it's been fun for me. And if you have any questions, let me know. Until next time, wherever that is or whatever we're doing, ciao.